Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Choices, Finding Your Joy. Paula Vail here. Oh my gosh, the guests just keep getting more amazing. I am just so honored to have with us today an amazing young man that I have been so excited to share with everyone. I have with us today Dr. Troy Munson. He has been in private practice for over 20 years. He has a mixture of chiropractic and nutrition-based modalities in his practice. He's absolutely amazing. He's in the great Northwest. I am so happy to have you today, Dr. Munson. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paula. It's awesome to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. Tell us a bit about yourself and your unique, fun background.
Sure. You and I have had conversations before, but for me, my passion developed when I was about 9 years old. My parents started really getting into nutrition, and they started a health food store. And so from the age of 10 until 21, when I went away to chiropractic school, I had worked in their health food store. In fact, my first summer there, when I was 10, I worked for $1 an hour, and I worked 322 hours and got $322, and I bought my first BMX bike that I still have today. So it was an amazing experience working for 11 years in their store.
I love it. I love it. That's such a great story, and I love that because my kids worked with me in my restaurant, and it's priceless.
Yes.
It really is. That is so cool.
Well, working in the store, I can't tell you how many bags of flour and wheat and rice and all things I bagged up from 50-pound bags. You have to bring them down into small bags, stock shelves, all of it, and learning all this stuff the whole time.
Yeah. So much learning. Oh, I love it. And Dr. Munson, I would like you to give us some background on hormones and why they're so powerful. As a female, myself and I connect with so many women, and we share this discussion. And, there's really not a lot of information out there that we really know or are aware of, on an everyday basis. I would love some information about hormones.
Sure. Hormones they're kind of this nebulous thing that we don't quite understand. And there's a lot of people out there taking hormones almost as supplements. And I want to give a real world view of what hormones are like in the human body. When we have vitamins and minerals that we must have in milligrams and gram servings a day, that's a lot. Those are big values that we can see. But when it comes to hormones, they're measured in picograms and nanograms. They're very, very tiny. If you and I were going to have a bag of chips, and in that bag of chips there might be 2 teaspoons of of salt. If we were going to look at hormones the same way, in 2,000 pounds of potato chips, one bag might weigh a pound. In 2,000 pounds of potato chips, you would have a pinch of salt. That would be what hormones are in the human body. So they're very, very small amounts and very powerful. So when we do them, we want to do them in a controlled manner. And for man to give somebody a pill or a sublingual or a cream and try to regulate and mimic the body's rhythms, it's almost an impossibility. So in my office, what we try to do is strengthen the body so that it produces those hormones in the right way, as well as removes them when they're not supposed to be there anymore. So if I may, I'd love to lay some foundation of what normal rhythms are for hormones for women and even men, if that's okay with you.
Yes, love it.
So when women come in, I start explaining to them that hormones in their body have different cycles all month long. We talk about a woman's cycle or her period, and we think about it's only, 5 to 7 days long, though I have ladies that come in that are 2 and 3 weeks long, which is unfortunate, but we can correct those kinds of things, and we'll get to that. But at this point, a normal cycle, a normal female cycle, let's say we're going to start at day 1, which is the first day of their period. At that point, their body is now sloughing all of the uterine lining off. because it says, hey, we didn't have a viable pregnancy. We don't need this anymore. We're going to make new stuff again to hopefully have another viable pregnancy or an opportunity to have one. So as all that sloughs off, now we have the end of the period, and now the body has estrogen starting to rise. Not a lot, but a little bit. As estrogen starts to rise, now it says to that uterine lining, hey, I want you to thicken and grow. Now, it's supposed to turn off at about day 13, 14. So it starts around day 5 through 7 when the cycle ends, and now it starts to build up, and that uterine lining starts to thicken. Now, if everything works correctly, at about day 13, 14, estrogen drops off, it stimulates ovulation, and now we have an egg that's viable on day 14. So that's when the egg is released. Now, at that point, another important hormone comes on the scene that is for pregnancy. And so we always hear about pregnancy or gestation. So progesterone is progestation. It's our progestation hormone, so it's called progesterone. Progesterone comes right behind the estrogen and now peaks up very high. Progesterone is there to maintain, on the off chance that an egg is fertilized and now implants, and now progesterone maintains its high level through pregnancy. And at about month 3, the placenta takes over and maintains that high progesterone level and continues the pregnancy on until fruition at 9 months. But if no egg is implanted in that healthy uterus, the progesterone drops off quickly the last couple of days before the cycle, and now our period starts, or the cycle begins. So we've got 2 weeks to tell the uterus, hey, stop building up your lining, now mature, wait for an egg, and now, hey, nothing came, so now we're going to slough off again every 28 days. That's a normal cycle. Now, within that normal cycle, we have the pituitary gland that's telling, hey, follicle that's developing the egg, when estrogen's coming, it says, hey, follicle, develop, and make sure that estrogen spikes so that we can release a viable egg. Then that follicle stimulating hormone goes down from the pituitary, says, hey, no more follicles develop, no more eggs develop, stop. And now it's progesterone's turn. And so within the ovary, once the egg is released, the structure that's formed from that egg releasing where it grew is called the corpus luteum. I know there's brand new words here, but just hang in there with me. Corpus luteum is the structure that's now producing most of the progesterone in that second half of your cycle every month. So the last 2 weeks of your monthly cycle, we're waiting for that pregnancy to happen. And the luteinizing hormone that's coming from your pituitary is stimulating the corpus luteum. That's why it's called luteinizing hormone, because it's stimulating the corpus luteum to continue to produce progesterone. That's a normal cycle. Now, as women get older, I can't tell you how many women come into my office in their early 30s, mid 30s, even late 30s and beyond that say, my cycle is, I'm getting heavier and heavier. I now have clots coming out. Every month, it's miserable. My cramping is incredible. And when I explain to them that estrogen is continuing to ramp up, and so because it's staying so high in the second half of their cycle, they're now developing that uterine layer more and more and more. And it's so thick that when it comes off, it actually looks like clots instead of just normal bleeding.
Wow.
So that's where the clots come from. So women out there might be going, oh my goodness, I'm now understanding why I have clots. How do I stop this?
Yes.
Becomes the next goal.
Yes.
And so what we need to do is we need to be able to pull estrogen out of the system so that it's no longer active telling things to grow, because estrogen tells all tissues to grow. It's a growth hormone. And the body sees estrogen as a toxic substance. It doesn't want estrogen to stay in the system long. Well, who removes the estrogen from the blood? It's our liver. So our liver takes the estrogens out of the blood and puts it in the gut, and fiber, the vegetables we eat, the good foods that we eat, hold on to that estrogen and get it out of the body. So if we don't have a lot of fiber, guess what? We keep absorbing that estrogen right back through the gut wall, and we make it worse and worse, and we have higher and higher estrogen. How else would we get too much estrogen that's causing this? We would get too much estrogen by, looking behind me here, there's a lamp, there's a television, there's paint on the wall, there's a mirror here that's got vinyl on it, there's my clothing, there's the carpet on the floor. All of these chemicals in our environment act like estrogens. Unfortunately, they're called xenohormones, and they're mostly estrogenic in nature. And so they're going into our bodies all the time and creating more and more estrogens. These are things that we don't want. So we have to have a diet that's really clean in order to continually detox. Or if I try to fix a woman that comes to me doing some things nutritionally, supplement-wise, that can really strengthen the second half of their cycle and tone down the estrogen, if I don't correct where they're getting all the estrogen in their environment, the problem is just going to come back.
Yeah.
And so we want to have really solid fixes when we work with folks. We want to give them the tools within the understanding of how do I make this permanent in my life? And that becomes so vitally important as we work with folks. Yeah. So that'll give you a little bit of idea why maybe PMS comes. Because if my progesterone doesn't stay up because I have so much estrogen and it's low, it dives off too soon. And now I feel that premenstrual tension a week ahead of time, or 4 days ahead of time, or 2 days ahead of time. I know my cycle's coming.
Yes.
That's what women will tell me. And that's why they feel that, because progesterone is not maintaining that nice high level. And so it's rather simple to correct. It takes a couple of cycles to do that. But I can't tell you how many women have said, you know what? This is the first time that my cycle has felt normal in a very long time. Yeah. And I don't have cramping. I've controlled some things that way. So that's the wonderful side of it.
And this can be accomplished with nutrition by changing the diet, correct?
Absolutely. And,
yes,
you know, it all comes back to diet for most conditions. I mean, we can talk about anything. And once we correct diet, yes, the body will take time to correct, and it will eventually get there. It's a slow process. That's why I'm going to use things like glandulars for the pituitary and other things at certain times in the cycle to strengthen it and make it happen faster and make the body, or help the body, repair faster, because I'm going to support those tissues. So yes, we could just with diet do some things, but most people in our society, we want things now. And so I want to be able to give them things that are going to help things correct rather quickly. Yes.
Oh, it's exciting that we can do that for ourselves with changing nutrition. And well, tell us a little bit about how that would work then with female issues, you know, painful cycles or hot flashes. You know, I hear a lot of, you know, women that I connect with talk about the hot flashes and different things they go through.
Yes. And for the audience out there that's watching this, I want to be careful with what I'm about to talk with next. My goal is not to irritate or have you feel bad about something that you may have decided to do or be of shock value. But what women don't understand is that they'll go with these problems to a medical doctor and he'll recommend a hysterectomy. And what women don't understand is, to give you an example, if I said, hey, some guy came in my office and I said, you know, you're feeling kind of down and not so happy. I'll tell you what, we're just going to cut your testicles off. Would he submit to doing that?
Probably
not in his life. Probably. No man would willingly say, yeah, cut my testicles off. I think that's a good idea. But what women don't understand, because they're inside their body, when they have their ovaries out, it's the same thing. It's female castration. And so I say it bluntly like that, not again for shock value, but I want the audience to understand what they're recommending out there and what it really means. Mm-hmm. Because ovaries are meant to be healthy and they need certain nutrients to do that. So let's say like with hot flashes, we have low zinc, we have increased body hair coming on because that's a zinc deficiency, but zinc is absolutely required for the adrenals to produce progesterone. Most women aren't even told that, hey, it's not just the ovaries that produce progesterone, but it's the adrenals too. But the medical profession doesn't know how to deal with low adrenals. They don't realize that adrenals need zinc and they need copper. And they have no idea where it even comes from or how it even functions in producing female and male hormones. So when somebody comes to me with hot flashes, I know right away that, hey, I've got a zinc issue most likely, and I can ask them about body hair, and they're going to say, yeah, it's been increasing. And so it means they also probably have testosterone starting to creep up, and estrogen still creeping up, but still no progesterone to help maintain muscles, to help maintain brain function, to help maintain hot and cold, to help the thyroid function, to help the pituitary and hypothalamus function. And so to activate zinc, we need vitamin A, which again is vegetables. It's getting that high source vitamin A to keep zinc active, and B vitamins active to help pull in the system and help handle that hot and cold and really repair the mechanisms that control it in the first place. So I'll take a woman who's having hot flashes and I'll test her on a couple of different key supplements, see which one works the best for her, or maybe it's a combo of those, and begin to help correct the things like hot flashes.
Yeah.
Now, hot flashes, again, we're going to go after diet, because as hot flashes go up and down, so does mood. Well, mood and energy follow blood flow, blood sugar and blood flow. So if we're eating things that are spiking blood sugar, if we're craving foods like sugar and candy and bread and pasta and all those things, that's because blood sugar is plummeted and now I need it to get back up. And so we eat those things. But that imbalance of blood sugar now that's going up and down is incredibly stressful to the human body. That stress then takes progesterone, our main feel-good hormone as a woman, and testosterone as a man, and says, hey, we're under stress because we don't have food. We keep crashing blood sugar and we keep spiking blood sugar, and that's very stressful to us. So we're going to make more cortisol. And what does cortisol do? Well, the exact opposite of progesterone and testosterone. It creates fat. It messes up our brain. It messes up our memories. It messes up digestion. It does all these things we don't want it to do. And so as we begin to stabilize diet and blood sugar, now all of a sudden we said, okay, we've corrected some of the stress in the system. We also want to correct the stress that's out there in our lifestyle as well. We want to get a handle on that. And then we want to start working with these systems to try and get real correction. So when folks come in to see me, I'm going to give them the why behind what's happening in their body. And now they're going to have the tools and the understanding and know-how to say, oh yeah, I really overdid carbs this weekend and I can tell I'm totally out of balance. But they're going to know, and now they have power, they feel empowered. And so part of our goal in our office is that we understand that people are indeed powerful. And when we help somebody recover their power, it helps them be able to be, do, and create greatness in their life. That's our goal. And so we create that or help them achieve that by correcting neurology and restoring nutrition. And now we have a system that is able to detoxify and maintain hormone balance, which maintains my youth, my vitality, my energy. Yes. People are hunting for anti-aging, aren't they? I mean, do you hear a lot about that?
Yes.
Man, I want anti-aging. And what nobody's told them is that the body is anti-aging. That's its design. If we'll just give it what it needs.
Give it what it needs.
There is no magic pill. I read stuff all the time that clients will give me. What about this HGC? And what about this EDTA? And what about chelation therapy? And all the stuff. And I tell them, I said, you can do those things, but it's a short-lived boon, because we'll see so many problems after the fact of these people that they have.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm now even more fatigued. I believe I've gotten other disease conditions because of that. And so when I educate people on that aspect, they begin to realize, okay, there's no quick fix, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I can do this, and I understand how to get there. And that's going to be the end goal as we go through that process. So that's hot flashes. We kind of gave a little window there, and it's a big topic, but that'll get folks started at least on where I need to be going. Something that is more and more up and coming is something like a PCOS. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Mm-mm.
Polycystic ovarian disease. So we have polycystic. We have many ovarian cysts being formed. Why are the ovaries forming cysts on them? And the symptoms that go with it can be pelvic pain, but it doesn't have to be pelvic pain. And so when we look at a polycystic ovarian disease, we look at an ovary that now has so much testosterone around it that it's actually forming cysts. That's why ovaries form cysts. High testosterone. Well, the testosterone is coming sometimes from their men in their lives. So I have a man who's got low T, and what do they give him? They give him testosterone.
Okay.
So that testosterone, they gave him not picograms, they gave him, milligrams or something crazy. And now his body is flooded with testosterone. And so it starts coming out of him. And every time he touches or lays next to his wife or is close to her, he is going to give her testosterone right through her skin.
Oh my gosh.
It's true. And so there's a lot of protein powders out there because the weight gain industry and muscle building industry is so big, and everybody wants to sell their product and guarantee that you're going to gain a pound every couple days or 5 pounds a week or whatever it is. They're putting small amounts of testosterone in their weight gain powder. Wow. And nobody knows it because it's so small they don't have to list it on the ingredients.
Oh my gosh.
The same thing has been going on with lotions and anything like women that say, hey, my hands are really dry. They'll go after the lotions. And wow, this lotion really works for me, they'll say. What they don't realize is there are very tiny amounts of estrogen in the lotion to make the skin more moist. But what was supposed to make the skin moist is minerals and calcium. And if I spike blood sugar by eating carbs all the time and eating empty grains that are processed and refined, I'm stripping away all those minerals and all that calcium, and now I'm looking at a symptom here thinking I need lotion, when the real problem is what the diet created in the first place. Wow. It's hard, I know, and it's irritating, and as we learn these things, we get more and more frustrated, but ultimately with knowledge comes power, and now we have the power to change. And so with PCOS, again, what we're going to start doing is really working at cleansing the system, trying to get the liver back online to pull those estrogens out of the female body and allow it to begin to be female again, not have increased hair growth, increased cysts, increased unhappiness and mood fluctuations and everything that goes with it, and the pain, as well as the degenerative conditions that come with PCOS and other tissues. So that's a window into PCOS. Again, fixable, just doing the right things.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Munson, I have to ask, so let's talk about men for a moment. If you have a man with low testosterone, is that something he can fix with diet as well? Absolutely.
So men with low T, same thing. They're spiking blood sugar and crashing blood sugar. Mm-hmm. I have taken hundreds of men and just said simply, hey, I want to give you a challenge. Do no grains, no cereal, no chips, no crackers, no pasta, no bread, no rice, even no quinoa for 2 weeks. Just give me 2 weeks. Increase vegetables, increase meat, increase fats. Good fats, not synthetic fats, not margarines, things like that. And I will literally have them call me in 3 days and say, I've already lost 3 to 5 pounds, almost typically. And within 2 weeks, they'll tell me they've lost at least 12 pounds, if not 15 pounds. And I apologize, women. It's very easy for us men to lose weight because we don't produce estrogen naturally in our body, and so we just do it really well. But we can also do it for you as well. It's just going to be a little slower, but hang in there. And so as I begin to pull fat off of a man's body, now those fat cells also produce estrogen. You'll talk to people that are overweight, and they will climb in weight, and all of a sudden, a day will hit that all of a sudden it'll just go through the roof. They can no longer control, and they'll try to even calorie restrict, and they still gain weight, and it's just out of control. Yeah. And at that point, their fat cells produced enough estrogen that they self-replicated, because estrogen makes fat cells, and that fat cells make estrogen. And so it just self-replicates, and it ramps up out of control. So when I take a man and remove fat from his body, he's now not producing so much estrogen. And now his testosterone, what he is making, actually becomes more potent because there's not the estrogens in there knocking it down all the time and filling up those receptors on the cells that are supposed to be for testosterone, but they're filled with estrogen instead. Yes. And so when we take a man that has very low T and we begin to really correct diet and help the liver clean, now we begin to support things like pituitary. We support the testes with things like iodine and other things that are going to help magnify his ability to produce testosterone normally, naturally. And as we let the pituitary and hypothalamus say, hey, testes, you need to repair and replicate new healthy tissue, and here's the nutrients to do it, and we give them that nutrients, all of a sudden we have a body that's now beginning to be anti-aging and they feel younger. So how would a man know if he has low T? Great question, and a great thing to know for most men.
Yeah.
We're never told us that every morning we should be having morning erections. I know, who would have thought I'm going to talk about morning erections right now? But every man gets to look every single day, am I producing enough testosterone? Am I doing things right? Is my vascular system good? Am I filling up blood? And so if you're 60 years old and you have stopped, and you stopped a long time ago, we have got problems. We've got things we've got to fix now. After age 60, we might have 3 to 5 each morning, but they should still be happening way beyond age 60. We should be having morning erections. So men, we get to look at our bodies every single morning as, how am I doing? Women get a snapshot once a month. How am I doing? How is my cycle, my period doing? Is it correct? Am I bleeding like crazy for 2 or 3 days? Or am I trailing off, and by day 5 it's incredibly light, almost gone? These are things that both of us get to look at health-wise all the time. And that's why it's so vital for us to understand these things, and then begin to have the power to do something about it.
Yeah. Now, I know we just have a couple minutes left of the show, but I'd like to ask, so, you know, a woman is watching her cycles, but let's say a woman is beyond menopause. What would she watch for?
So she's going to watch for things like energy, for brain function, cognitive ability. Am I beginning to put on some weight? Do I get lines across my neck, which is common for thyroid? Am I repairing? Is my skin getting brittle or thin? These are all things that are kind of telling us, hey, we're not repairing or healing like we should. Yeah. And we're possibly overeating grains and other things that we shouldn't. Most women should notice that their skin is good. Their wrinkles are staying at bay. That means they're having a lot of good fats in their diet so that they don't wrinkle. And that they're vibrant. They're sleeping mostly through the night. Their heat and cold is being maintained. You know, they're not getting too warm, not getting too cold, that everything seems to be running quite well. We want to see that those normal things are happening. Yes.
Excellent. I love it. With just another minute or two to go, Dr. Munson, what last words would you like to put out there to everyone?
You know, I have clients all over the country, and some I've never met, but I've talked with on the phone. So I do phone consults. So those that would like to do that, they're welcome to get a hold of me. They can look at my YouTube channel, Dr. Troy Munson. They can watch some of the videos there. They're welcome to email me. You can email me personally at chiroman@dr.com. That's CHIROMAN @dr.com, like doctor.com. Or they can call my office, which is 360-893-8586. And I would love to talk to them or pass information on to them. They're welcome to do that.
Thank you so much. You are so awesome. This is so fascinating.
Paula, it was a pleasure. Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. And everyone out there, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you so much. Love, hugs, and blessings, Dr. Munson.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.